take away or carry away my grief. We sing of beads and we sing with beads. These are words of our mother, our dearly departed. You see, beads are the zizi of our joyous trails, the ziz of life when all else fails. Beads are Zani, Zesty, Zingi, the greatest Zaku, a grief zapper. Speak to me of beads, Grandma. Speak to me. Talk to me. Nana, talk to me. And these are the words, dear words of our dearly departed Mama. It's rather unfortunate that death, the unknown yet all-knowing to itself, visited you in your home. The guest, never invited, but comes and takes away, dissolving the hearts of everyone like turpentine. And then all we hear is, oh, take heart, be bear fine. Death. It comes in various shapes, forms, and styles. Serving humanity with no form to fill before it kills, master of its own skill. Oh, death. Who are we to question death? You see, before your demise, before exiting, Mama, you actually celebrated your birthday before your death day in the very same year. And to me, it was your best day. Because looking at the trails you've blazed over times and the lives you've touched up until now, Mama, you never failed. If we want to talk of the Mama Africa of today, we will mention your name. So remember, I can hear the voice of Awuno saying and welcoming you. Miawezon lo ata edu. Then I can hear the voices of Atukwe saying, Mama. Then he couldn't speak anymore. Not because they are not welcoming you into a space where the African warriors are now enjoying looking back to see the young ones who are having your words and works, igniting the fire in them to fight. Because the war is never over. You fought. You were a warrior, Mama. You fought. And you still kept fighting. So when you meet Efwa, Awuno, Atukwe, and all African warriors, tell them that the fight is still on. And their words are not dying because we're continuing where you all stopped. We are the youth. We are the vibrant ones who would undaringly and selflessly, diligently carry on your selfless works. For your words and works have ignited a superpower in us. We will not fail this generation, Mama. All I say to media houses in Ghana is today, you had an inspiring, striking, super amazing interview talking about Africa and how the exploitations are still going on, the manipulation, the Western things that are going on within that is actually taking our beauty and our dignity. So we are not living the African way. I wish on your death day, the Atente band will not only blow, they will not only tell of the stories you've written, they will show this very thing so that the young ones will pick the fire from you. It wouldn't only be read. It will be heard in your own voice, for Mama, you are a true warrior. If we want to speak of the African Mama, the Mother Africa of today, we'll always remember to speak of you. Death once again swept you away. But with respect to how long that man is expected to live, to us, it is a life well lived. So we will not mourn for long. We will rather gladden our hearts and press on. And I can assure you that just as you celebrated your birthday before your death day, and to me it's your best day, we'll always make every day the best in Africa. because it is time and will materialize your words. Rest in perfect peace, Mama Africa, of our time. Damri Fadi. Thank you.
Stirring words from Albert Tete, poet, eulogizing the late Professor Ama Ata Edu. You are welcome to the first day of June in 2023. The rains are pouring down from the heavens, and in some areas we see it as a blessing. For those whose structures are not strong, they look at these times with apprehension, and may the Lord keep us all safe. And may we who have brains use them for the development and betterment of all our people. My guests are seated and ready, coming out of 31 days of prayer for the nonsense to stop. Is the founder and leader of the Worldwide Miracle Outreach, Reverend Dr. Lawrence Tete, the man who speaks economics on the down low with common sense. Fantastic. Oh, beautiful. I'm learning my guns once more. Okay. Sheikh and I will be sitting in your class. Sheikh is the spokesperson for the National Chief Imam, Sheikh Arimi Yao Shaibu. Salam wa alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
It's good to have you here.
Yeah. Anytime you bring in the gun,
you become alert.
No, my unforgettable gun expression is
You're welcome. How's the week been, Sheikh?
Oh, the week has been fine. Always we must be thankful to God. Always. Not too much complaint. For every one of the things that occupied my mind over the week, two things. The transience, the ephemeral nature of political power, as I observed Buhari exiting from his office. It gave me really time to keep on reflecting on what it means for God to elevate you to such a position, and the legacy you have to leave, knowing that you will never remain in power forever. At least in Ghana here, the far you can go is 8 years. Yes. It is now that we are hearing of the breaking the 8, but it has become a norm. However far you go, even with the parliamentarians who have been given the tag, Mogabis. Oh yeah, I mean there are parliamentarians who have been given the tag Mogabis. In other words, Mugabe refused to leave power for a long time, manipulating constitutions and so on and so forth. But there must come a time where you will be compelled to leave. Well, indeed, if you are not compelled by common sense, events sometimes can compel you to leave. And I saw that Buhari was silently and humbly walking away, now leaving Abuja for his native state of Katsina and his native town of Daura. And finally he goes. The second one has to do with, I will not mention the name, but it gave me also time now to begin to also talk to people about words, what we say and where they can land us. Especially your dignity, those of us who are rising within the ranks of society and are being seen and become role models and exemplars of virtues. Once you begin to take a step towards that line, be careful. Be careful how you speak, and be careful how you conduct yourself. because it can cost you so much at a time when you need recognition. The Twi people, and I like using because it is language that I have lived, and I try to respect the tradition. And pardon me, because when I came to Accra, wherever I stayed, the guy was not speaking. Legon, Nima. So I didn't get my this thing. But they have something they call Kasaye, Kasapa. Kasapa. And I think that in all the languages we have this. All the languages, all the tribes. I'm sure Reverend will tell us the Ga side. You are also an Ewe, and you will tell us, good speech. In my religion, the Prophet, peace be upon him, told us something that if you believe in Allah in the last day, say that which is good or keep silent. In other words, mindful of what you say. If you think it is evil, in fact, it's virtuous for you to keep silent. And like Amateru of Blessed Memory, that woman that we respect so much. You see, we are now playing back. So her life, past life, has been a scroll on which has been imprinted indelibly whatever she did, how she impacted on life. She lives no more now. But look at the tape that we are playing back. So our lives are scrolls. They are scrolls. And then when you are no more, the scroll will be unrolled. And then we see the imprints of those negative things or bad things you did, including also the virtuous ones. But the virtuous ones will be extolled. The virtuous one will be extolled in your honor. But the bad ones too will remain as a bad example of somebody. And I don't think we need to really reduce ourselves. Those of us who are walking on the path of leadership. Jonathan Atta Mills, I remember him very well for some of those things. When he assumed office, one of the things of worry for him as a political leader that we respect so much was the politics of insult. It was a worry for him. Worry for him. And when Chairman Rawlings had become so critical of him in one of his press meetings, I mean, they were putting questions on him, wanting him to say things. Somebody who, to him in his political life, had become like an inspirer, a mentor, who paved the way for him. And I remember he said, Chairman Rawlings is not a pain in my neck. People were pushing him that he can say something.
For some headlines.
Yeah, for some headlines. And that is the man who said silence is golden. I remember him for all these things. So can the life and deeds of such political leaders guide us, those of us who are coming into it? So what happened, and I saw one of my very good friends in that state, I wasn't happy. I don't want to mention it because I don't want to take pride in. But it gave me this thing. Sir John, on whatever he said, was pulled to the court. And the judges were telling him, now you see your right size. And one other gentleman also was, and somebody who has risen so high in life, known, he has a wife, has a family, children who respect him so much. Now he's so belittled in front of judges. And somebody had to come and rescue him and talking on his behalf. Oh, Atukwe, I remember very well. Oh, we work together. Today is my birthday. I will just give me a birthday gift. In other words, just forgive him.
It was he used the word Bishi. A spirit overcame him, right?
Yes. Yeah. You see, and for me, so life is an opportunity for us to learn lessons,
right,
and to be guided by the mistakes of others.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. Just a quick note on the Buhari transition. As he was leaving, he left these words for Nigerians because people were curious about what he was going to do after he left the power. He says, quote, I am looking forward to tomorrow to fly to my base, to go and meet my cattle and sheep, which are much easier to control than fellow Nigerians. But I have to reduce their number because I cannot save enough to buy them feed. Quoted by the Daily Post. See, the cattle and sheep are easier to control than his fellow Nigerians.
They answer only one language. If you say, hey, you say, hey,
They move.
or the stick.
Yes.
You hit them, sometimes you don't hit them hard.
Yes.
You just have to make a sign.
Bam, and they go.
And then you find them there.
But human beings, when you say hey, they say hey back, right?
And they will say, back, or say, go left. They say, no, we shall go right.
So Mr. Buhari is on his ranch right now dealing with controllable beings. You know, he's left the Nigerians to be dealt with President Tinubu. Thank you for your thoughts. Rev, what's on your mind before I find out what's in the news?
I think I will send a very strong caution to our so-called journalists and people who are not practicing journalists, but they are excited to use the title journalist, to be very cautious in the way they use social media. A lot of people are going to get themselves into serious trouble now because they don't care undermining people's hard-won reputation. And in their lack of wisdom and lack of understanding of ethics, they put anything out there. Even though, as some say, they delete them, they don't realize that there is nothing you delete on Facebook or website or internet or whatever medium that is deleted. It can be retrieved. People have families and have worked very hard to attain certain standard. And if you take them in the name of trying to fulfill a political agenda or a social agenda or some financial agenda, you end up getting yourself into the bin. I've noticed over the week that a lot of people have taken some offensive, including me, and have tried to malign you. And things they say are very fabricated. People don't even read what you say. We had a meeting of the Ghana state in Dodowa. Kafui.
Last Thursday.
You
left at the show and went
Thank
there.
you. The reason why we had the meeting was that some churches were very agitated. And being a Ghana person from the Ghana Royal Homes myself, felt like we should get a point of convergence, a compromise. And this thing was done in such a decorum manner. People never read what was written down. People never read what we said. Some people didn't even know at all. All they want to do is to run to attack you. And are people who attack you personally. What they don't realize is that when you undermine people's integrity and it becomes defaming and defamation statement, you can be taken to court. Now, even if I am not ready to do it, I come from a family who have held me very high. I have friends, I have people who will not sit down for you to treat and undermine my hard-won reputation. And because of that, we have to stay down. To the extent that somebody, even in the person's silly or foolishness, to want to better word, said, I can't go to England again, and my family members cannot come back again. When somebody can go to that extent, it means there is an issue. As much as we know certain people are not well, they are bipolar and they have mental problem and things, which you can tell from the messages some of them give. Not everybody is very discerning. So I will plead with the public, let's be careful. There are laws in the state. And if you don't take care, somebody will sue you and you will end up being in trouble. Don't be too much in a haste to go on social media, to go and talk about certain issues that you don't have answers to. Otherwise, by the time you are called to court, if the circuit court frees you and the high court frees you and the court of appeal frees you, when you get to Supreme Court, there will be 7, 6, 9 judges who will not take the nonsense you say. And by the time you realize, your life will be at stake and your destiny is destroyed. I want to send this strong word of caution that we should be very mindful. Don't sit in your little home and assume that you can say anything, and because the thing is going viral, you have made a point. You will get yourself into trouble. I'm talking to you as a man of God, as a leader. Some of us, because we are in the public domain, we don't really mind that much. But our people mind. Our people who are legal-minded, our people who are economic-minded, our people who are secure-minded. Even though people who are descending will listen to you and they realize that you mentally, you are not stable because the things you are saying doesn't make sense. It's like somebody saying, I can't go to London again. If my wife and children are all British subjects and we've all lived there, why would I not be going to London? Unless you tell me that I've done something very criminal. So that doesn't make sense. Secondly, if you are making statements that you don't understand just because you want to undermine somebody's hardware reputation, be careful, be mindful, because in the end, you will be in trouble. And for all you know, some of you are making noise that you have nobody, you don't know anybody. When it comes to matters of the law, then you realize that you have been foolish for nothing. I will pray for all of you. Be very careful. Let us know what we say and how we say it. Otherwise, we'll be attacking people who know their rights and know where they stand. And Kafui is very serious. A lot of our youth in Ghana, in their bid to become popular, a lot of even bloggers will take certain personality and just fire on their personality. And I'm seeing a lot of people, great men and women, look at the culture of insult in our social space now. Young and little boys and little girls and young people are insulting adults who have worked very hard. And by the time you realize, in your bid to try to defame someone or undermine somebody, you've destroyed. Some of us, you have thick skin, and by the grace of God, I've been in the media space since the 80s. I've been one of the longest Ghanaian preachers who has been consistent on TV. There are a lot of young men and women watching me today that they were very little. Pastor Sami Ajiman said he was 9 years old when he used to watch me. The parents of Ebony says she was 6 years old when she used to watch me. So there are people who have watched over the years. And certainly, I will not sit down for somebody who has no right. So please, let me send a word of caution to you. Speak to matters. Speak to issues. Speak to principles. And don't just insult people. Because by the time you realize, if you are not fortunate, it will land you in a very big cause. And of course, there are people today who will be investigated. They'll be investigated surely for certain words they've thrown about, where they got it, how they got it, who gave it to them. So you sit back now and realize that certain things you shouldn't have spoken about, and then you've destroyed your life. I would say it again. As much as we are pastors, we are sheikhs, we are leaders, and we want Ghana well, don't use your, for want of a better word, your foolishness to destroy people's hard-won reputation. Otherwise, you will be in serious trouble. And as I sit there now, I'm not surprised at all that certain people are about to be in serious trouble for statements they've made that they themselves didn't understand why they made it. In their bid to say, I have my mobile phone so I can say something and send it viral, they've opened worms for themselves that they will be answering for as long as they live. And it's about time we pick up the rod and let some people know that you can't always get away with foolishness. This nonsense must stop. And in any case, those who are behind them, those who are behind some of you that foolishly give you 10 cities, 5 cities, 2 cities, 1,000 cities, so make statements to destroy certain big people or certain great people in the community. By the time you are in trouble, they will not be there to rescue you. Then you realize that you have and you will face the consequence on your own. I think this is what I want to say, and I miss nowhere by saying that this nonsense must stop.
Thank you very much for expressing yourself so eloquently. Reverend Dr. Lawrence Tete, here with Sheikh Armiu Ashaibu, my guests for the Thursday.
And let me put this on record that I believe in the Ga tradition. I believe in the Dangbesha tradition. I'm very grateful to God that was made a Gandangbe. And I'll be the last to undermine it. If people had listened to us carefully and has heard what we have said, they would not have gone to the extent they've gone on with certain people. They have, I mean, and I must say this, that my heart goes out to even the regional minister who was able to broker peace between the Christian community and the traditional community. And it's not because he's abusing his place. The mayor of Accra, they've done very well. And as we are thinking of commending them, rather, people who did not even take their time to hear what the matters were and have not even read the subject are insulting them. Now put yourself in the shoes of the regional minister and put yourself in the shoe of the mayor, Elizabeth Kwachosaki, and find out how their family members will feel about you. Some of you too who are insulting them, you have depended on them. So the hands that feed you, don't bite it. This is devoid of politics. And if you don't take care, by the time you get yourself into trouble, you have no excuse point, and then you've destroyed your reputation. There's some of you today, there are certain people that have connected you to you will not have the chance to connect you anymore. I believe that NDC, NPP, CPP must come together and let us hold the fort, because what is happening to Ghana today is happening to somebody, you are happy, tomorrow it will be your turn. And like Sheikh rightly said, this whole issue about every 8 years something is changing. By the time you finish and you are moving on, then you sit back and realize that had I known, it's always said to be a philosophy of a fool. They say had I known is at last, but had I known is a philosophy of a fool. Ka ke no shishi, ka yue no shishi, ka yue ka no ofe plek no na chicho fenini, ike sali baba hambo. I'm saying these things as a Ghana person, and I want to believe that I am a proud Ghana, and I'm the last to undermine the prestige and the tradition of Ghana people. That is why I was born. I was born at Jamestown. My grandfather and my grandmother are from Asre and Osu, and my grandfather on my father's side is from Dodowa. I believe in the Ghana heritage, and I'm supporting it. But please, let's create a balance so we don't create room for people to destroy what God has given to us.
Well noted, sir. Thank you so much, Reverend Dr. Lawrence Tetteh. It's 7:55. This is hashtag GTV Breakfast, 1st June 2023. In case you're wondering what happened to May, May has gone and June is here. Headlines for you: gbcghanaonline.com. Of course, Ghanaian writer Professor Ama Ata Edu dies aged 81. That's the big news. That's trending since yesterday. Ghana joins to mark World No Tobacco Day. There are issues there. 6,700 people died from tobacco-related diseases annually, according to some research. That's in today's Daily Graphic. Police inspector accused of killing girlfriend charged with murder. You remember that story that was trending some time back, and so that's the latest with that. 79 more illegal miners handed over to Obuasi police for prosecution. They dared to actually enter into areas that they shouldn't have gone into, and the law is catching up with them big time. Domelovo won't find it easy coming back to post following Supreme Court ruling. Of course, this has to do with Mr. Domelovo's leave being ruled as being unconstitutional. Supreme Court and CSO's petition government to reclassify, to do that. So that's a ruling that came from the Supreme Court concerning Domelovo's being asked to go on leave. Daily Graphic: promoting responsible fishing, protection of ocean is vital, says the president at the Blue Economy Summit. Konfanochi has suspended 2 doctors for extortion. Of course, it's the hospital. Doctors extorting, wow. And the CSOs have petitioned the government to reclassify sanitary pads so that they can take those many taxes off. And the Electoral Commission has fixed June 27th for the Asin North by-election. Remember, Mr. Jachik Quinson has his whole time as an MP has been just set to 0. It's as if there was no MP for the area. So there's a by-election on that. Ghanaian Times: customers have been storming the telcos to meet the deadline for SIM card re-registration. IMF 3 billion. Ghana must build strong economic financial buffers for economic shocks, says the IEA, charging the government. And the anchor has Esipong, the decaying sports stadium. And on the 4th of June, which is in 3 days' time, of course, it's June 4th, and this year it will be hosted in Hohwe. They will be hosting the 44th June 4th uprising anniversary. So those are the big headlines in the news, gentlemen.
Sanitary pads.
The sanitary pads. Yes. Let's talk about that.
I'm sorry, but
yeah.
When I talk about this nonsense must stop. This is one of the nonsense that must stop. Everyone at Kafui, if you don't have a daughter, you have a wife.
Definitely.
If you don't have a wife, you have a sister.
Yeah.
If you don't have a sister, you have a friend who is a lady. We all do have. And we know that biologically, at the end of every month, when you have reached that stage of menses, you go through a menses. This is a basic need that even speaks of hygiene. How can we tax sanitary pad? Now, this is not a subject of debate.
No.
I get very sad when I'm watching TV, I'm listening to the news, and we are debating it. This is, when I say this nonsense must stop, these are some of the nonsenses that must stop. Certainly, somebody should wake up today and say from tomorrow, no sanitary pad tax is allowed in Ghana. There are men and women in this country who have so much power in their hands that are legally qualified to say between now and the next 73 hours, under my word, stop. This should not go through debate. We become a laughing stock to the international community when they hear us do things like that. I have friends that have come from the UK who are with me. They are living in my house now. And
they can't believe it.
And it's like it's a ridicule to me. My wife and them are talking, and this is a subject that I feel very embarrassed about. And they call you, Lawrence, is it true? Is it true that you tax sanitary pad for period? That is their period, their menses. That's not their fault. This is natural. This is biology. They can go through. And in the end, that you get a child in Soto, a child in Nakotolante, a child of a distance still using bue, what we call it amonsan, we call it bue in Ghana language, and we call it subue in Krobo language. They are still using it, so it gives them infection and it's messed up. That's some girls.
What is it?
Bue is amonsan. That's the red thing, the cloth they use. It's in the olden days. They call it amonsan in tree. But it's in Ghana language, actually bue, kakemuko yoeche bue, they put that thing. And in my language in Krobo, Dango, we call it subue. So when they insult you that you are Yosubue, it means you're a foolish man. Yosubue, and then people, it's a big insult.
It's a big insult.
But even people are using toilet papers.
Yeah, newspapers.
Some people are using newspapers. And so what are we doing? We are bringing infection. And also, this is what we call human rights. The rights of the young girls and boys who have not attained their menopause age yet is being abused and inflicted on. These are certain things that we should not debate about. Sheikh, Kafui, we should not be debating about sanitary papers. I think that is below the belt. What is not good is not good. And we leave this thing, and you'll be surprised, the people who are supposed to be instituting that and cutting that and stopping that in seconds will leave that one another and go and concentrate their energy on something else. How much money are we making at the expense of the country? Now, these same very girls, when they end up getting infested with hepatitis B, hepatitis C, and certain things, and then your child goes to marry them, and then they also contract that, you'll be binding the devil and thinking some demon somewhere that is causing it. But it's just basic common sense. I think it's about time some of these things are not debated. And if you are the one responsible, or you can make this decision, let's do it today and stop debating it. Sometimes we are too happy to write things in the news, and certain debates we make are totally useless. It's not necessary. I think the wrong should be corrected. And from today, we should start giving dignity to our ladies. I think one bad culture we seem to convert in is that we don't respect women. We don't respect the opposite sex. We don't realize that these girls will become mothers. And if we don't treat them well, they become very wicked mothers and irresponsible mothers. And that is what has led a lot of young ladies on the street living on men who are irresponsible. I seriously believe this issue of sanitary pad is an embarrassment and it must stop.
Let me just read you what's in the paper. So 112 civil society organizations, they did the petitioning to the government. So they want to reclassify these sanitary pads as essential medical necessities. That will make sure that these products have zero tax rating, and will also increase our chances.
It must even be subsidized.
Yeah. So we had the national coordinator, Levlin Asiedu-Kunedu, who was here last week, or earlier, on behalf of the CSOs, earlier this week, and they presented this petition to Parliament, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection. There are so many taxes on these. She listed a lot of them, and so they include 20% import duty, 15% import VAT, and other import levies, and it's causing problems in low-income communities where girls cannot afford to have these hygiene products, and so they are losing days. People are losing 5-6 days a month from school because they are just embarrassed to go out, and then you are pointed to.
Something
It's just
biological.
for me, it really my mind boggles that we have all these members of parliament. Is this not an important issue for? You don't even have to be a woman. I mean, if you're a man in parliament, this is something, a law that you should sit together and just decide. You know, why can't we even set up a sanitary pad factory in this country and make it so that you don't have to be importing and then charging import duty and all that stuff? Made in Ghana, man.
We have 3 men here.
Yes.
Who among us here was born through the channel of a man?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Case close.
Through any male orifice.
It's just not possible.
So the issue is not an issue for females, for women
At all. It's a people thing.
It's a human issue.
Yeah.
It's a human issue. What is human is human. It affects all of us. But I mean, my worry is, so sanitary pad, do we import?
Yes.
What material do we use in manufacturing?
You know, the cotton.
Major Samana. Major. So even this one we import. So we cannot have a factory
Just to make sanitary pads.
in Ghana here that can, and so we reduce our women and our young girls, to this kind of situation. And the reason for which some of them will even lose the quality of their education, because if you miss contact hours from school just because of this, and the embarrassment we cause them. So I think it's a matter for the state to look at critically. And like you said, our MPs, I mean, that's the reason why they are there. That's one of the very critical issues that they have to look at and see. In fact, given the fact that this one is a human issue and there's something we can do about it, can we begin to explore possibilities of producing sanitary pads in the country that we might not need to be giving these taxes, because somebody's business is making money. He imports it from somewhere and he has to keep his business. So the only thing you can do is to say, government, look, let me come in and step in and subsidize, like Reverend said. Subsidize it and say, look, we know you are doing your business, we don't kill your business, but until the time that we get this thing off, we must be exploring possibility to producing. I don't think it's a material that we need to import. Where do we import them from? Is it from China?
Let me give you a breakdown of the taxes on menstrual hygiene products, aka sanitary pads, and so this was sent to me by Maltiti, my colleague here. So we have 20% import duty on sanitary pads, 0.5% ECOWAS levy, 15% network charges VAT, 2.5% import NHIL, 1% IRS tax deposit, Exim levy 0.75%, network get fund 2.5%, 1% COVID health recovery levy, 1% inspection fee, 2.5% get fund import levy, 2% special import levy, 2.5% network NHIL, 0.4% processing fee, 15.0% import VAT, and then 0.2% African Union import levy.
Wow.
Yeah, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 different levies ranging from 20% down to 0.2%. On something that women use every month.
Yes. So this tells you how irresponsible people can be. They can be in certain positions and for want of whatever become so irresponsible, unreasonable, and not even understand why they are there. On Tuesday, I don't even know how many mentioned. On Tuesday, I'm addressing a program in the UK, in London. And this
In
program,
London, they say you can't go.
so somebody's being childish. My family members are dual citizens, so it doesn't make sense. Anyway, that's some of the things I say. That people just talk and they don't even understand what they talk. So that is why we don't have to answer everybody. There's a saying in Ghana language. I call Juohi the second loba. They call mama kejipoe. Ojofu yin say. When you're in the bathroom and the mad person comes to pick your cloth away, you don't chase the mad person naked. That is why some of these things will not answer ourselves. We'll leave the legal course to take its time. By the time you are slammed in the courts for saying something you shouldn't say, then you see how unwise you have been. So that is not even, I'm leaving it for the law and the police and the security services to take the course. Everything you say, you have to answer yourself. So that I'll leave it. But what I'm saying is that I'm addressing this program in the UK. And when I saw some of the synopsis, this thing came up. I told you in the house, my wife and some of the team members who had come from UK were discussing it. And I felt very disgusted. But I saw it in it. Why do we ridicule ourselves like that? Sheikh just said it. We can manufacture these parts in Ghana, except somebody's greed is making us by all means have to import it. So they can make durable
the hard, durable American
So let me give you some good news. So there's an organization, then we'll go and look for them. So they're called Kodu Technology. And so they got a grant of a lot of money, 100,000 cedis seed funding to actually make these sanitary products.
You need to be supported.
They make them from plantain stalks. They process them. And they are going... the cost is quite, so 8 CDs for 12 pieces.
Yeah.
8 CDs, and I'm sure the price now, well, what is the range now for sanitary pads these days? Like 30 CDs for a pack? 30 CDs, and how many are in the 30? There's 10 inside for 30 CDs. This is 8 CDs. It's homemade. You know, people are, so, but they need to be supported.
But can't this
Seriously.
even boost our cotton industry?
Exactly, or whatever they are using to make it.
Cotton industry, you can get some boost in
Yes.
employment. You know,
So this is some young graduates from UDS who are set up this business.
When I was a student in Budapest, there was one thing they used to do that was very interesting. They bring pads and condoms to students for free. Of course, a few times I've said it, people ask me whether I also took some of the condoms. When you meet me one-on-one, I explain that to you. But every Friday evening,
They drop them.
in the university model, you see like the way we take food to the hospitals
on
and
the
go
trolley.
to the ward.
On the trolley.
That's what they do. They bring the pad and they bring the condoms, and sometimes they bring some drinks or things,
Cigarettes.
weekend cigarettes and things, and they distribute it. Those who even want to take wine and everything, things they give them. So of course,
Like in
they
the
use
plane
that
and
to
you're
promote-
moving,
Yes,
but then it's,
they use that to promote the Hungarian product, but they take it round. So girls can come and knock at the door and say, "Oh, maybe I'm over bleeding. Can you give me spare to have it?" Boys
everybody
can
has.
go. Boys can knock at the door and say, "I have a very close of mine. It's called Divan Amekpodote. He's such a trouble. He's either coming to take my wine or he wants the condoms away." He said, "Look, I waste those space." Amekpodote became an honorary consul general now. He's a very serious architect. His father was the original Podote, the architect. He will laugh at me, say, "Go to Lawrence room. You get them free and take it away with you." So you don't have to go as a student to go and look as.
It's demeaning.
It is very undermined. Even the ladies in this part of our world feels embarrassed to say they are in their menses because of the way we've made it felt. So that alone is even bad, to say that they don't even have the money to buy it. I think that, I beg, whoever is responsible to that, we should change it like yesterday. It is a shame, and don't wait. And our legislated, our judiciary, and our executives, you have taken advantage to make a lot of decisions that does not promote us. At least for once, think about your daughter. The fact that your daughter can buy it, or you can get enough for your daughter, doesn't mean other children can also get it. Let us save the dignity of our girls. Let's save the dignity. Let them smell well. Let them have a good aura so that they can have a better future. And don't forget, posterity will judge us if we train ladies badly. I have this belief that every man who treats a lady very bad sometimes doesn't end up with them. So please, let's treat these girls and bless them so they can fit. And don't forget that as much as we say Ghana is developing, look at our parliament. How many girls are there? How many girls are in our parliament?
Women.
How many ladies are there? How many matured women are there? How many, and I'm talking about girls figuratively, that good looking, sharp. You should have people, that are there. Hannah Bisu and Esla Owusu and others, they are sharp girls. I call them girls because they even feel like they are girls themselves. But if you don't take care, you get certain people there who become women. Let us promote our ladies to look gayish and admirable so that they can have a place in our society. Please don't treat girls badly.
You're watching hashtag GTV Breakfast. Let's read your messages right now. Alaji Dawuda sending us a message on 055-556-1034. 055-556-1034. My question to your panel is, will they make suggestions to the manifesto committees for election 2024 in view of the early comments made about politicians by the chief imam's rep? Good question there. So there's an issue here that Dean Yusuf is asking about. He needs Sheikh's help here. It says, please, the Muslim nurses need help as they've been forced to remove their hijabs at St. Gregory Hospital at Bujumbura. Has it come to your notice about this particular hospital?
Well, it has come, but it's a matter that we don't want to discuss on media.
Okay.
We don't want.
All righty.
Anyone who listens to me, I'm a Muslim. We just had our second, annual meeting with the Catholics. So it's somebody who is using an authority in an institution. And I don't think that it is the church. It is not the church. And to solve our problem of this nature, we will not solve it on the media.
Awesome. So, but it's come to your attention.
Yes, it comes to our attention.
Awesome.
And we are finding a better way to.
That's what we want to hear. Abdullah says, indeed, the government of the day must take necessary steps to scrap taxes on sanitary pads in the country to help women in the country. I entreat the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection to look into the matter swiftly by pushing for the taxes on sanitary pads to be scrapped. It's about time we protect the dignity and decency of our women by ensuring that they live a decent life during their menstrual cycle with the affordability and accessibility of sanitary pads throughout the country. From Abdullah Abdul Razak Tamale. I think the finance minister's wife should put pressure on the finance minister. Oh, honey, darling, help our people. When they are together quietly like that, she should whisper into his ears. Yeah.
No, and the women, they have the power to do that.
Yeah, I think she can.
Men, we are weak.
I think that she can.
Give him a good romance.
Give him
a very good romance.
And then what about those taxes, man?
They know how to put pressure on you to take a decision.
Yeah.
And they know the time,
yes.
To do that. Because of the nature they are. Women are important, except that probably we have not, philosophically, theologically, we have not been able to really understand what they represent.
They have that power.
Let me say seriously.
Shake,
if you
confess.
like, they represent that aspect, that affection side.
Shake, I want you to confess. Your wife has put you under pressure.
Oh, she has a way.
She can get to you like that.
Oh, yeah. No, you must understand. They have a way to come, knowing your mood, things that normally you will not accept or you are not ready to do. They have a way to really turn you around.
The one that reverend will shout on you, your wife will just say something soft and then you do it.
Oh, yeah. They will say, it's a new man, even your voice is... And I think that they are gifted. Help good decision making. Yeah, not the negative side, but the positive, side. So for example, she's also listening to whatever is happening, what comments have been made, and then maybe in their very reflective mood, she puts on the table, and I'm sure she'll be able to get him to reason and say, look, honey, you are making a very good point. Your point here is very, very strong. Yeah. You let me get to the office and let's see. And then
who knows?
My father taught me something, that if you go to any family and you want to maintain a long-standing friendship with a prominent person, make the wife your friend.
One time.
So if you know me, I have a lot of presidents around the world who are my friends. I make sure I connect to their wives too. When the wife likes you, you are accepted. As a pastor, or maybe a sheikh will tell you that my wife, Barbara, is the one who's pushing me to go to London on Tuesday. That topic was supposed to be her topic. Yeah. But the way she has rocked the whole thing, I have no choice. I have to be in London. And hear me, I keep telling people, don't make friends. Most appointment that happens in Ghana, it's not the president's choice. It's not the minister's choice. It's not the leader's choice. Sometimes their wives play a big role.
Big time.
If you love the wife and the wife has sympathy for you and you are the pet of the wife, you get all the juicy places. And whether it is from Kwame Nkrumah's days till today, it does happen. The woman make the decision. In fact, the most powerful woman is the leader's wife, because they are the last. So after the man has made all the noise outside at the president's or the parliamentary, when you go home, the last person that takes care of you is a woman, and what she says is final. So make sure you make friends, and that's what my father taught me, and it has helped a lot.
Big time.
There's a story. Okay, let me just play with
All right, let me tell you a story. So my second job.
Yes.
After maybe 1 year in the job, I asked my boss, Mr. Nketia of blessed memory, Isaac Nketia, why did you hire me? Then he smiled and he said, when they put the advert out in Ghanaian Times, shout out to Ghanaian Times, you got me my second job. It was a small advert, somewhere there, 1996, I think. So I applied. He said, the letters came in, baby. He didn't open a single letter. He took all the letters home and gave them to his wife, Auntie Ellen, Mrs. Ellen Nketia. He said his wife went through all the letters. If she saw one typo, into the bin,
out.
One spelling mistake, into the bin. One grammatical nonsense, into the bin. So she sorted out the sheep from the goats, and then now she had a small pile of letters. She read through all the letters, and he says when she got to mine, he says, this is your guy. So me coming to the interview was just a formality. He says, no, this is your man.
Look, I mean, women are deep, and you see, and they are very meticulous.
Yeah.
They are very meticulous. There are certain special virtues, attributes of women. Because for a long time we didn't learn about it because of how culture has structured and has socialized us. It is now that we are taking our time to understand that phenomenon. That phenomenon we call a woman. And there are a lot of cases in our personal lives, in administrative life, that we have seen how women, and I think we should be giving them the opportunity. Let me cite you an example. I confess, at home I'm not a very organized person.
Oh no, it makes it two of us.
It makes it three of us.
I'm not a very organized person.
My phone is always lost. My socks are always lost.
So sometimes
always
I will have like 3 events. Invitation here, meetings there, I'm unable to even quickly remember that, I have already accepted this, So yesterday I had a clash. One meeting there, another meeting there. Then the one that called to remind me, I was preparing to go to the first one. Then the other one called. I said, oh yeah, So when I came home in the evening, my wife took a paper. He said, look, let's draw your programs. Just yesterday, so I was looking at it. You see, women can be very good. And I didn't take it serious. This morning, she had to now draw. I have one important program now. She has drawn a program. She has fixed it somewhere.
Yes.
That now, anytime I have a program, I should tell her so that she will fix it.
That's all.
And it tells you how organized they are. Maybe I'm talking about myself. Maybe it's happening to another person.
Yes. Man, it's I have the most messed one. Barbara, when we married, Barbara went to a break girls from 1 to form 5, and fortunately went to 6th form in a boys' school, and she became the first girl. Accra Academy. Okay. Barbara was the first girl to become a school prefect at Accra Academy before she went to Westminster University.
Nice.
She left. Of course, she left when she was about 15 or 16 or so, back to the UK, and grew up there. And so we got married, and here was I, North Carnation boy, very raga, mouthy and things. and I messed up the room. So she called my mother and told my mother, come and see what Nene has done. Then the socks is in the kitchen, some socks is here, toothpaste is here. It's like she just can't understand me. And then my mother said, oh, Barbara, Nene does this to all of us. Even me, when she come to this house here in my room, he's messing everything up, even though doesn't stay with me. My mother helped me. And then so Barbara came back to me, Nene, I can't believe you even do it to grandma.
My mother was
very smart.
Yeah, she protected your dignity.
So my mother told her that, look, it's not just a room and messy. Even she who doesn't live with me, when I come to her, which is true, I take something here, I put it here. But Barbara is the gift that God gave to me.
Organized.
She's organized. Barbara is an economist herself. Her background is an administrator. She put me together. In many cases where I'm even preaching and I'm going up, Barbara has a way of doing it.
Bring it down.
I mean, great.
Barbara is the type of person that when we sit in a private jet, she doesn't want anybody to know. We have seen a president, she doesn't want anybody to know. Lawrence said, I want to say we went to this country and we made this embarrassing and cool it. And it helps me. It brings a check. Women can bring a check. And when I'm preaching, my mother said when I'm preaching and Barbara is there, I preach better. I don't even make certain humor. I don't make certain jokes. She's there. So I think let us value our women. And their place in our life should not be taken for granted at all.
All right.
And I want to say this on behalf of Kafui, on behalf of Sheikh, on my own behalf, and on behalf of all the men. We congratulate our wives for being good.
One time. We'll end this with a video of one powerful woman like that. But before that, this has got a lot of people talking. Domilevo's forced leave, it was unlawful, according to the Supreme Court, the highest court in the land. So Mr. Daniel Yao Domilevo used to be the Auditor General. By unanimous decision, the Supreme Court yesterday declared that the decision by the President to ask Mr. Domilevo to proceed on accumulated leave in 2020 was unconstitutional. And so they go through the whole arguments of the issue. I'm just curious, I mean, what next? Of course, he's retired now. I need to ask a lawyer whether he can actually even sue for some damages.
No, I mean, I think it's a victory for law.
It is, huh?
Yeah, it's a victory for law. I mean, in other words,
Independence.
yeah, I mean,
the court.
it's the government that forced him out to go on leave and proceed for this. Now it goes to court, and the court rules in his favor. And for me, from what is good in my case here is that it has gone on record and it's become a reference point.
Good.
At another time. That's why I say it's a victory for
So
for law.
people can now refer to it later on.
And secondly, you see, when we are in power, we must be very, very careful about the trappings of power and the arbitrariness of the use of power. I'm using the word arbitrariness. That because you are clouded with the cloak of power, you can decide with one fiat to take a certain decision which might not be in the interest. In fact, it might not be in the interest of future leadership. And I think we need to be cautious about that. My other issue about it is he entitled to any compensation?
That's what I want to find out, if I can get the lawyer.
Yeah, because now already he's gone on retirement.
Retirement, yes.
Retirement. But ahead of that, he was compelled.
Yes.
Was compelled.
So these are the people who took the case on.
Yeah.
Ghana Center for Democratic Development, that's CDD Ghana, Ghana Integrity Initiative, Citizen Ghana Movement, Africa Center for Energy Policy, Parliamentary Network Africa, Pen Plus Bytes, Media Foundation for West Africa, Send Ghana, and One Ghana Movement. So they organized a press conference and sued the Attorney General and Minister of Justice October 26, 2020.
Yeah.
It's almost 3 years.
3 years now. And it's
almost 3 years.
It's also an indictment on our commitment to fight corruption. It's an indictment. That's on such a matter. It's just like how we also handled the Professor Boateng's case. Just like that. When there's a certain issue of national interest, that the nation itself it will know that we are caught in the vortex of corruption, and it's something that we are worried about. We establish institutions, investigations, triage. Is it NACA or how do they call it?
Yeah.
These institutions that
SEC.
There's this special body that is investigation into corruption and so on and so forth. All those things, state institutions put together, is to express our commitment to fight because it is a bane. If you hear what how do you call it, financial or economic hemorrhage that takes place through to corruption. We bleed.
Yeah. So for you, this is a victory for the law.
For the law, but that for the future.
It becomes a
for
reference.
the future.
Yeah.
It must give us, inspire us to remain committed.
Awesome.
When we say that we are fighting corruption.
Okay, let me get Reverend's quick light on that.
Political power is very transient. And like he rightly said, we never check it until we are out of power. Don't forget that after he's left here, because of his pedigree, he can work in any international organization.
He did, yeah.
And we are starving ourselves, Ghanaians, to have gotten a Ghanaian into the ECOWAS, into the IBRD, into the IMF, into the World Bank. These are the likes of people who, because of their experience, can work as consultants. But when you undermine their credibility and they lose it, and don't forget that you are doing it for somebody, but the law of karma works. The seed you sow today can affect you. So we should be careful not to destroy people's hard-won reputation in the name of politics. One day, this same snake will come and bite you.
Onufu. In case you missed the news item, here it is, and then we'll end with that video I was promising about. So this is the Daniel Domelevo story, the directive being ruled as unconstitutional by the Supreme Court.
The Center for Democratic Development and 8 other civil society organizations, including the Ghana Integrity Initiative, GII, Citizen Movement Ghana, Africa Center for Energy Policy, ACEP, and Parliamentary Network Africa, filed the suit following the president's directive. The CSOs argued that the directives were unlawful since the president does not have the power to exercise such disciplinary control over independent bodies. They also submitted that the order for the former Auditor General to proceed on leave was a violation of the Constitution and undermined democratic governance. They sought a declaration that the action by the president was unconstitutional and therefore null and void. The court did not issue any directive stopping the order with the explanation that Mr. Domelevo has since retired from service. The president on July 4, 2020, directed then Auditor General Mr. Daniel Domelevo to proceed on his accumulated leave of 169 working days and hand over to his deputy in acting capacity. The order to proceed on leave came after then Senior Minister and 4 other officials from the Ministry of Finance sued Mr. Domelevo to clear their names in relation to what was said to be breaches of the Public Procurement Act, which resulted in their payment of $1 million to a private UK firm, Kroll and Associates. In a related development, the Supreme Court also held that the imposition of restrictions by President Akufo-Addo during the COVID-19 pandemic was unconstitutional.
Yeah, that one almost slipped under the radar, but I'm sure we'll have a conversation on that in subsequent days. We're going to end today's segment with a very powerful playback of an interview of a lady who was once Secretary for Education 40 years ago, from 82 to 83. She was also responsible for developing the educational curriculum in Zimbabwe at some point in time, multiple award winner, just a wonderful Ghanaian who passed yesterday, the 31st day of May 2023, Professor Ama Ata Edu. We read her books in school, Changes, Our Sister Killjoy, Dilemma of a Ghost. Did you ever have any of the good pleasure of meeting her one-on-one?
Yes.
And what are your memories of her?
I think she was a very intelligent woman who, if you speak to her 5 minutes, you leave home with something. She was the one who told me that any speech I make publicly, I should write it. So when I give to the press, I will not be misquoted.
Wonderful advice.
I can never forget that thing.
Wonderful.
He said because I speak extempo,
yes.
I should write it down. And when I finish, I give it to the press, and I will never be misquoted. Amatedu, may you rest in me. She's a woman who fits in every pair of shoes that was given to her. She was a mother when you wanted a mother, and a friend when you wanted an. Amatedu was also an astute academic who was down to everybody. Awesome. She said I should write the speech. Lawrence, throw to her. Who we are now, they are Mawon. They can never misquote you. So may her soul rest in peace.
I have not met her, but I've listened to her, some of her interviews. You know, like other great women that I feel inspired by and love to listen to, and the impact they have made in life and what they have come to represent even at the state level. Yeah, and that's why when I made my opening remarks, I was referring to her. In fact, she's the one who has given me this sense. Now, as I was listening to the poem and all those things, I began formulating a certain thought in my mind, and that's how come I arrived at our past life are like scrolls. We make scrolls on which indelibly things about our life are written.
Yep.
And then when we are no more, we unfold this. And now everything that she did, good things, it is there. And that's what exactly we are now going to be listening. And a mother, an academic, proud one, of course, I mean, who has made Ghana proud. And these are the type of citizens that want to produce, want an educational system that produce people who become citizens of our national pride. Yes. That when we go outside and we come back, we make contributions, we add to the wisdom of our nation, and no nation thrives on just material resources, but the minds that build that preserves this.
Almost.
That's what, and she is one of such representatives.
She sparked some serious fire on a French network. We want to bring that fire back to you.
Yes.
May the soul of the departed rest in perfect peace. May the good Lord that has kept you this time give you safe journey. We want to say on this medium, Amata Edu, our mother and our mentor, we are proud of you. Rest in perfect peace. Amen. In the name of the Father, in the name of the Son, in the name of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen. Enjoy.
Since we met you people 500 years ago, look at us. We've given everything. You are still taking. It's true. I mean, where will the whole Western world be without Africa, our cocoa, our timber,